We are live, Tyler.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
Let's see. People are coming in one at a time. So, oh, we got a huge audience. That's great.
That's awesome. Let me know when you think we should start.
I'm going to wait when people we'll be starting in just a couple minutes. People are trickling in. Okay, I think we're ready to go when you are.
Awesome. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Villanova's 9th annual Poetry Out Loud competition. A great poem has much to tell if we can find a way to listen. It will speak to us and for us, giving voice to times of great joy or great loss. These words are given to us by Poetry Out Loud, the organization and competition formed by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. The purpose of this competition is to encourage youth to learn about great poetry through memorization and recitation. This competition helps students master public speaking skills, building self-confidence, and learning about their literary heritage. The winner of today's competition will compete in a county-wide competition. The winner of the county competition will advance to the state competition in Sacramento. The state's winner receives a stipend and an all-expense paid trip to Washington, D.C., assuming it won't be virtual, to compete in the national finals. And the national champion receives $20,000. Today's competitors will recite 2 poems they have selected from the Poetry Out Loud anthology. It will be judged on accuracy, physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. Welcome to students, faculty, staff, parents, and guests who are joining us here today. Today's judges and officials are Mr. Bunce, Ms. Kissler, Ms. Mulhart, Ms. Nelson, Mr. Coffey, Ms. Cotty, and Ms. Hedrick. Thank you for your expertise today, and a special thanks to Mr. Hart for his technical assistance in helping to make this special event a virtual experience. And I am Christopher Gutierrez, your MC for today. We especially wish to thank today's competitors, Elaine Haddix, Ruby Arredondo, and Haley Tinker. You know, poetry is one of my favorite things in the entire world, especially because I think of it as a prophetic art form. So it tells us what's going to happen before it happens. And I think poets are some of the greatest geniuses we've ever had. So I'm so grateful that these people get to recite for us today. And now, without further ado, we will begin our competition. Let's see.
Insomnia by Gioia. Now you hear what the house has to say. Pipes clanking, water running in the dark. The mortgaged walls shifting in discomfort, and voices mounting in an endless drone of small complaints, like the sounds of a family that year by year you've learned how to ignore. But now you must listen to the things you own, all that you've worked for these past years. The murmur of property, of things in disrepair, the moving parts about to come undone, and twisting in the sheets. Remember all the faces you could not bring yourself to love. How many voices have escaped you until now? The venting furnace, the floorboards underfoot, the steady accusations of the clock, numbering the minutes no one will mark. The terrible clarity this moment brings, the useless insight, the unbroken dark.
Ways of Talking by Hartjen. We used to like talking about grief. Our journals and letters are packed with losses, complaints, and sorrows. Even if there was no grief, we wouldn't stop lamenting, as though longing for the charm of a distressed face. Then we couldn't help expressing grief. So many things dissented without warning. Labor wasted, loves lost, houses gone, marriages broken, friends estranged, ambitions worn away by immediate needs, words lined up in our throats for a good whining. Grief seemed like an endless river, the only immortal flow of life. After losing a land and then giving up a ton, we stopped talking of grief. Smiles began to brighten our faces. We laugh a lot at our own mess. Things become beautiful, even hailstones in the strawberry fields.
Interlude by Amy Lowell. When I have baked white cakes and grated green almonds to spread upon them, when I have picked the green crowns from the strawberries and piled them, cone-pointed, in a blue and yellow platter, when I have smoothed the seam of the linen I have been working, what then? Tomorrow it will be the same cakes and strawberries and needles in and out of cloth. If the sun is beautiful on bricks and pewter, how much more beautiful is the moon? Slanting on the gothic branches of a plum tree, the moon. Wavering across a bed of tulips, the moon. Still, upon your face, you shine, beloved, you and the moon. But which is the reflection? The clock is striking 11. I think when we have shut and barred the door, the night will be dark outside.
I am trying to break your heart by Kevin Young. I am hoping to hang your head on my wall in shame. The slightest taxidermy thrills me. Fish forever leaping on the living room wall. Paperweights made from skulls of small animals. I want to wear your smile on my sleeve and break your heart like a horse or its leg. Weeks of being bucked off. Then all at once, you're mine. Put me down. I want to call you thine, to tattoo mercy along my knuckles. I assassin down the avenue. I hope to have you forgotten by noon, to know you by your knees, palsied by prayer. Loneliness is a science. Consider the taxidermist's tender hands, trying to keep from losing skin. The bobcat grin of the living.
Childhood by Margaret Walker. When I was a child, I knew red miners, dressed raggedly and wearing carbide lamps. I saw them come down red hills to their camps, dyed with red dust from old Ishkuda mines. Night after night, I met them on the roads or on the streets in town. I caught their glance, the swing of dinner buckets in their hands, and grumbling, undermining all their words. I also lived in low cotton country, where moonlight hovered over ripe haystacks or stump of trees and croppers' rotting shacks, with famine, terror, flood and plague nearby, where sentiment and hatred still held sway and only bitter land was washed away.
September 1918 by Amy Lowell. This afternoon was the color of water falling through sunlight. The trees glittered with the tumbling of leaves. The sidewalk shone like alleys of dropped maple leaves, and the houses ran along them laughing out of square. Open windows. Under a tree in the park, two little boys lying flat on their faces were carefully gathering red berries to put in a pasteboard box. someday there will be no war. Then I shall take out this afternoon and turn it in my fingers, and remark the sweet taste of it upon my palate, and note the crisp variety of its flights of leaves. Today, I can only gather it and put it into my lunchbox. For I have time for nothing but the endeavor to balance myself upon a broken world.
All right. Let's give another round of applause and snaps at home to all of our competitors today. We have a few more special treats for you all, but before those, I'm going to be reading a poem for all of you. This is by one of my favorite poets and authors, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and it's called, translated, Death of a Fly. He sucks with greed the treacherous attraction, won't budge now once he tasted, glued to stay, never enjoyed such utter satisfaction. There with his members paralyzed, they play brisk on the little wing, no more though, never. Won't slick the little head so pert and clever, life in his fit of pleasure slips away. The tiny feet enfeebling go slack, toppled he sucks the more, goes blacker, black. Death in his 1,000 eyes like cataract. That was The Death of a Fly by Goethe. And in a little bit, we will be joined by some special people while the scores are being tabulated to entertain us with some poetry. And they are being let in right now.
Maybe in a minute or two. Working on that.
Let's see. Does anybody have any poem recommendations that I can read for you all? Let's hear an original from you. Sorry, B, I got nothing. Yes. Preach. Here we go, Mr. Coffee.
Hey everyone. Before I do this poem, oops, sorry, I was adjusting my camera. There we go. Lesson learned: always double check where you think your things are, because I thought my poem was in this notebook and it's actually in this one. So I was like running around trying to find my poem. And so this is a poem I wrote 2 years ago. Just give me a second while I find it. I don't write that many poems, so it should be hard to find. But I see a couple other people joining. If someone else wants to go first, Christopher, that would be great. If I could just have a moment to find my poem here. Ms. Walsh, are you ready?
Sure, I can go.
Okay, thanks. Give me a
Great
minute.
job for all of the competitors. And it's really challenging to memorize poetry. These are actually poems I wrote, and I don't even have them memorized, and I wrote them. So good job to you guys. This poem kind of goes along with the weather we had earlier on this week. Santa Ana's. Hot, fast, dry, wind. Howl then sigh, low. Blow on high, spin. Leaves they fly round, earth you fry, crisp, fire we cry, loud. Then you die, ash. We ask why. Thankfully, the winds this week did not bring fire to our area. But this second poem I'm going to read is a sonnet I wrote about Ventura recovering after the Thomas fires, which I'm sure many of you remember. Ashy blooms. Walked along the verdant blossoming hills, the ashen lands, lushness, full flowering. Now is the time Arroyo Verde wills that life resurges, overpowering. After the Thomas fire we prayed, please, let life return after this great toil. Now, wild California poppy seize the earth, popping orange through blackened soil. Lupine spreads its bright new purple displays across the once scorched yet now fertile, dry landscape with its Lazarus-like ways. We surrendered our hope for a while, but the life force relentlessly insists. Even after the fire, it persists. So hopefully we'll get some more flowers and rain coming back soon too. That's it. Somebody else who wants to take over? I don't know. Yeah.
I am ready, Ms. Walsh, finally.
All right.
Found my poem. Okay. Yes, just to echo what Ms. Walsh said, you guys all did an amazing, great job. This is a poem I wrote about 3 years ago, and just to give you some context, I had just moved to California, and I'm from the East Coast, and California is a radically different place than anything I'd ever been in before. And I moved out here to marry my now wife, and I had no job at the time, so I moved out here, and it was kind of the beginning of my adventure. But a year later, from that time, it was summer again after I moved out. I was working at Villanova, obviously. That was my first job when I got out here. And it's just, it was my first year in California, and I remember the specific smells of summer coming back. And so this poem is just kind of a reflection of how smells, the senses, but especially smells, have a connection to memory that no other sense really has, and it can really bring you back to a time and a place. So this poem is called Memory is a Thing Best 1 Year Out. Memory is a thing best 1 year out, when time has not yet confused experience and sense. Each sensible opportunity gives little doubt of what it holds and what it represents. So as the summer draws ever near, and this California soil admits its breath, it smells like that time, this time last year, when the sea sang marriage and the waves did crest. You remember that time, don't you? When I asked you to marry me and I had no job? Still, we went to the beach on Sundays. Your sister wed, your mother sobbed. Jasmine and sulfur were there too, and that funny smell the sewer makes by the sea. A year ago, I knew it well. A year later, memory. Things that happened 2 years ago, or even 3 or 4, are all similar and give no semblance. They resemble all and leave you wanting more of that specific moment, of that specific sense. So memory is a thing best 1 year out. When July to July stand as 1 to 1. Each year may be different in its route, but each season simply re-becomes. And then just one other poem I'd love to read for you guys. Actually, this is one I have memorized, so I don't have this my own poetry memorized, but this is a sonnet by William Shakespeare, and sonnet 30. And I think it's a really good sonnet for this year because the speaker is talking all about all these like things he's missed out on. And I think we've all experienced that, right? With the pandemic, like all these experiences we're missing out on. But then he goes on to think about his friends, and that gives him some consolation. So I don't want to spoil it for you, but so here's Sonnet 30 by William Shakespeare. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought, I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes, new wails, my dear time waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since canceled woe, and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell over the sad account of fore bemoaned moan which I do pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friends, all losses are restored and sorrows end. That's all I got. Thank you.
Awesome. Can we get another round of applause for our competitors and Mr. Coffee and Miss Walsh and all of our contributors today? Snaps. Great. Well, again, thank you to everyone. And now, Miss Hedrick, will you please announce the winner?
Not quite yet. Before I announce the winner, I'd like to recognize a couple of special folks in our audience today. Fernando Salinas is here, and Fernando is the Literary Programs Coordinator for the Ventura County Arts Council. He is also the coordinator of the county's Poetry Out Loud competition, and he has been skillfully navigating how to make a regular live competition virtual. And trust me, it's a very tricky business. So thank you, Fernando. I also want to extend my gratitude to Christopher for not only his MC skills, MC extraordinaire, but also his tech skills in putting together all of the videos and helping me plan today's event. I couldn't have done it without you, Christopher, so thank you. I'd also like to congratulate all of our competitors today for their excellent recitations. So Haley and Ruby and Elaine, you inspire me. Since November, you have spent numerous hours learning new poems and perfecting your recitations. So thank you for your dedication and for your hard work. And last but not at all least, before I announce the winner, Elaine, Ruby, and Haley and I would like to extend our very special thank you to the Ventura County Youth Poet Laureate, Genesis Perez, who shared her valuable insights, her recitation skills, her encouragement. Genesis, I don't know, Mr. Hart, if you can bring Genesis forward so we can see her face, that'd be great. She's an incredible poet too. So if you get a chance, I think Mr. Hart has to screen through 141 participants to find it. So we'll see if we can find Genesis. Okay, drum roll. Ah, Genesis, there you are, great. Thank you, Genesis. And now the winner of Villanova's 9th annual Poetry Out Loud competition is Haley Tinker. Congratulations, Haley. You will now be representing Villanova Prep at the Ventura County Poetry Out Loud competition. And we couldn't be prouder of you and proud of all of you for participating. Thank you for all the competitors, judges, officials, special guests, and our MC today, Christopher Gutierrez.
And a huge thanks to Ms. Hedrick for organizing all of this and for training our wonderful competitors. So thank you for everything, Ms. Hedrick, and all of you. Thank you to our audience for coming out and watching too.
Thank you, Christopher. We look forward to seeing you all next year, hopefully live.
Awesome. Great.